Welcome, everybody. My name is Tim Jakes. We are thrilled that you've come to join us for this webinar. This is a webinar hosted by the IPMA Special Interest Group, Innovation and Change. I'm here today with Irina Dolmatova-Eggers. We are very, very excited to be talking about resilience today. Before we get started, if you have a question, please go ahead and use the Q&A button. We will answer those, and we intend for this to be very free-flowing. So we want to invite you to be active in the Q&A, and of course, in the chat is the Menti code that we'll be using. So IPMA special interest groups. What are these? Just a quick intro here. The IPMA special interest groups are an exploration of areas that benefits our career, our work, the planet in general. So we are a group of people who are very interested in advancing the knowledge and the practices of project management into the world, to create new standards, new networks, to identify and develop new industry leaders. And so as part of that, we do this webinar series across all of the different special interest groups. Today, we have 7 special interest groups ranging from AI to healthcare. Today's group, Innovation and Change. We've got Smarter U, which is Smarter University, Mega Projects, Smarter Cities, and even Smarter Rural. And of course, many of these topics interact with each other and overlap with each other. So it's very, very exciting to be a part of this because there's a lot of different ways that we see projects going. We live in complex times, and so these kinds of groups are very helpful for networking, finding additional resources, making sense of it. Today, I am very, very happy to have Irina Dolmatova-Eggers with us, who's going to be speaking with us about functional resiliency, new methods for supporting individual and team performance. This is such an important topic today. We as project managers are solving problems that are more complex than ever before, right? Our world is as complex as it's ever been. There's all kinds of new technologies and processes, and the populations continue to grow, and urban centers continue to grow, and all of these forces that are at work. And in spite of all that, we are charged with implementing the new things, right? We're on the front edge of the ball, kind of trying to put into place new technologies and processes and ways of working, changing the landscape, if you will. To do that, we as people need to have a sense of ourselves and a sense of resiliency. And Irina is an expert in this. She understands how executive leaders and teams influence companies, environment, employees' performance, and have organizational success as a whole. In her work, she focuses on personal development and well-being as a core to creating and realizing opportunities in today's fast-paced environments and sustaining the change required. Irina is a partner with I Feel Europe. I will let you provide your introduction. And she's also a founder of Equilology, which contributes to equestrian society change. So you can see in the picture with the horse, we're going to be talking a little bit about horses today. So there's a lot going on here. So Irina, without further ado, let me turn this over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. And it's a really great pleasure to present for IPMA community, because before I turn to horses, I mean, the project management professional is never past. I mean, when we are choosing this way of work and our career or way of living, we just stick with this. And so before I turned to work with I Feel method, and before I discover I Feel method myself, I worked as consultant, as project manager, external, and as employee in mostly global corporates or Russian companies. And my last several projects were about delivering business transformation, and actually not positive one. We had to transform some functions and, as usual, headcount, and with this aim of headcount and cost reduction. So I really experienced on my own self what it means when we are in safe environment, or opposite, how culture can influence, and how everyone within project team, always our stakeholders or internal or external clients, can influence the project, how it goes, and the success as well, and results. Okay,
I would just like to recount very quickly how we met. We met at the IPMA World Congress at a dinner one night, and this was not long ago. This was a month ago, perhaps, Irina, 2 months ago, maybe. And we sat at a table, and I just want to convey to the folks online, there was this immediate resonance, like the warmth that you're speaking with right now. I just felt that immediately when we started talking at the table. So to me, this idea of safety is very, very important for us. And so anyways, that it was a great evening that we had at the celebration for IPMA that night. And so I'm so glad that you made it here.
I'm really pleased because for me it was like coming back at home before because I had to invest the time and my own time and resources to be an expert and learn more about psychology, neuropsychology, what is going behind, because I really started to be curious what's going on with the people when we are, when people have knowledge, have all required resources, even money, and they can deliver the great result. And in externally same situation, people cannot do this. So, and I really would like to share with you today what it's all about when we're talking about our nervous system. Okay, so let's see how this will work. Yeah, it's working. This is very well known Yerkes-Dodson curve, but it's really great example. So when we talk about employee performance, we usually mean that team member or employee, they can perform their duties, their role, and they behave in workplace as we expect them. And measurements can be very different, from quality and quantity till some other measurements, like we all know good key performance indicators and so on. And what we can notice by looking there, that some amount of stress is okay, and it's actually rise the performance, and then when it's reached the point of resiliency, it can bring us to breakdown. And we all know that project management is one of the most stressful jobs, because we really deal every time with uncertainty. And even if we implement every project, the same project, the idea of project, we will never repeat this. And once I had, and the complexity actually also growing significantly year by year. So I would like really to share one example. I remember one conversation which happened about 2007. I worked that time in consulting company, so we were invited to help to one shipbuilding corporation in Russia to develop the concept of project management. And we discussed with their employees their challenges, what they would like to make different, or opposite, what they found what they see as a good and best practice for them. And one lady, she shared with me one phrase, I till now remember it. So she said that in early days, it was early days means Soviet time, to construct and build offshore oil and gas field, they had a limit, they have a time limit about 8 years. So, and now it's only 3. And this is what happened not only in the very complex projects like construction offshore, we see it everywhere. And this is why we see many new approaches coming, which is really great, because can we influence somehow externally the stress level? Yeah. Yes. We can, for example, apply different planning approaches. We can we do actually, for example, this risk management, etc. But what we else can do is how we perceive the stress, what's about internally with us, internally with our team, and how we can stretch this optimum stress zone. So we can really engage with each other, innovate, even to create these new ways of work. And I really like this picture that illustrates that we all as a project management professionals need to balance and manage many factors. And it's all about our functional resilience and what it is. So when we're talking about people, because you may see a lot of different terms, descriptions, how resilience is presented. I would like to share with you that this term came from neuroscience field, and the term refers to the capacity of individual autonomic nervous system to successfully adapt to challenges that threaten their ability to function. Autonomic nervous system is our peripheral nervous system, which is, we know the sympathetic nervous system, which mediate fight and flight response, and parasympathetic nervous system, which regulate our body state, and it's all together. They regulate our heartbeat, blood flow, breathing, and actually they influence our decision-making process. Because when we're out of the range, our cognitive capabilities slow down. We sometimes cannot find a solution at all when we are in this stage, and we will talk about it later. So when we talk about resilience in general, that it can help us. So the resilience itself and ability to function through whether development, so we go through development and growth, or whether through survival. Both are actually is still resilience because we cope with the situation. But what makes difference between functional and dysfunctional is that when we experience any life challenges or at workplace some challenges, and this strengthens our personal sense of purpose, of value, the meaning of life or work, why we're doing this, the meaning of relationships and ourselves, then it's a functional resiliency. And not everything works like this, because sometimes while we cope with some stress, and we face the life challenges actually successfully, we can lose and weaken a person's, our personal sense of life, and we actually more feel that we have distrust with ourselves, with others, and so on. And I experienced this on myself actually very well. This is why I started to do the research and look for how we can really change this. I didn't know at that time that it's called like this for sure, but I just had a feeling that something wrong, because within the company, I actually delivered project very well. But when I had to face migration process from Russia to Germany, and actually it was positive challenge, but I found myself after a while in a really deep burnout state, not because of it was something bad happened to me, but because my nervous system couldn't cope with the stress level. And why it happened like this? And to explain this, I would like you really to introduce a great concept which called window of tolerance. And this concept coined by Dr. Daniel Siegel, and you can find online his book Mindsight. It's a little bit more for professionals in psychology and in psychological field, but it's really great to adopt what he writes for ourselves. So the window of tolerance refers to the optimal zone of arousal where we can function, manage, and thrive. Really, it's correlate with the term of resiliency. So how we show this? So the yellow-green zone is the window of tolerance. And if we remember this Yerkes-Dodson curve, it is this optimal stress zone, including the relaxed zone. Excuse me. So in terms of our autonomic nervous system, what it means. So when we are in the green zone, our parasympathetic nervous system is in place. We can relax, we can feel comfort. It's actually when we are on vacation or we at home, if there is no stressful situation, when we can sleep, when we can rest and digest. And this is where we definitely feel safe, but we don't feel motivation to do something. So without sympathetic nervous system involvement, it's actually quite hard to have an activation. This explains why some certain level of stress and quality of stress needed for us to move and for our team too. So when we have some stimulus, whether they're positive or negative, it's rise our activation, we still feel safe, although we can feel uncomfortable. And this is a very key difference between when we in how we perceive and how we can regulate our state. Project management and running horse, we often just run and don't do enough relaxation at work. And if you notice, we have on this scale pluses and minuses, which is very important because our nervous system can be activated and may move us to doing state when we have a high energy and activity, or it can move us to opposite, the reflective and consolidating activation. It's still activation. It requires lower energy, and what it means that we can do reflective work, we can think. And to balance our nervous system and that it can really stay healthy, we need quite equal, quite equally distributed both types of activation, including the relaxation and comfort zone. And when we, for example, face whether extreme stress or constant level of stress without any relaxation and reflection, then our sympathetic system leads us to red zone, which is activation of fight and flight response in terms of we really become, whether we want to run away and we experience extreme panic. It's always, this state means that from our cognitive capacity, we actually cannot think well. And sometimes you can maybe you notice sometimes that there is some event happened or someone said something and we just fight back immediately. And then why we said so? And actually I had as well this, and it destroyed my relationship with one of finance director in one project completely until I left the company, because I just was much more enough from provocation of how I lead things and what to do. And I couldn't regulate myself in that moment. So I just replied her very, very, I would say, rough, that actually that she is not right. And then it turned the conflict on, because probably she was also acting out of her window of tolerance because of maybe some different circumstances, and because maybe she felt unsafe within the change I had to deliver. So it's really, really, really important to know. And what is more important, that if we, even in a state of fight and flight, cannot reach any result, our nervous system, autonomic nervous system, activates the additional capacity of parasympathetic nervous system, and they're together move us immediately, and it's really not noticeable, to the freeze and flop state. And this is evolutionary process, because evolutionary, all mammals, we somehow share what's going on this level, on the level of autonomic nervous system development. And it's just that we don't feel extreme distress and pain when it means that there is no change possible. We maybe heard about the learned helplessness, or as well burnout or depression. And what all of this means when we are talking about just project management and what had happened when we're there. So when we have safe activation, and the letters SES means social engagement system activated, we can be innovating and innovative, active, creative. We can feel each other, and we can engage, we can co-create, we can, even this important function to be to listen or to be empathic. It's all only possible in this stage in some level. When we are in sympathetic nervous system, then what you can experience from yourself or from others, and you might notice, oh, something there, like defensive and aggressive behavior. For example, we come with some idea to change, or to change an IT system, like, can we create this function? And then we say, are you crazy? We cannot do this because, and there are a lot of because can be, and they're all true, in fact, because the person is in that zone in terms of changing in the IT system he has or she has to maintain. And by this, I would like to mention that actually window of tolerance is not just the one model for every day. And if we have it this way, it means that it's every day same. No, it can change day to day. It also relates to some emotions. So we can be very, we can have really broad window of tolerance towards, for example, anger. We can really experience it and still stay calm and professional from externally. And we can really feel we can have really narrow window of tolerance towards, for example, like a grief emotion or sadness, when we absolutely fast want to close and that no one can see us. And also it can change day to day. It also accumulate the stress level. So for example, if we feel ourselves bad and we have like pain in the stomach or headache, then we cannot be really the same, tolerate to the same stress which we could handle yesterday. And unfortunately, our culture, the Western culture, and I experienced this with many people from different countries, in a certain level, we all have this we're all taught that we need somehow to take a painkiller or just any other medicine, and just don't think about our body, like focus on your decision-making process or something. No, it doesn't work like this, unfortunately. We can actually ignore it, but it will influence our resilience. So, and what we see and what we can notice when we are in the flip and flop state, then it's a lack of engagement. First of all, lack of motivation, like, hey, let's do something, and no response. We feel like a wall. And from top management perspective, the avoidance of decision. And there are a lot of this, you may notice. Just, can you take a decision about change? And then there are a lot of, can you find for me the other explanation for this change or reason? And sometimes sometimes it's really reasonable, and sometimes it might be not. So from the feeling of ourselves as a body, when we are in sympathetic nervous system, it is a high heart rate, it is the hard to breathe. When we are in flip and flop, then we can feel like we don't experience emotions, we are not touched, even it's like a numbing experience of any feelings. And there are many regulations techniques how we can return ourselves back. We will talk today about some, and also it can be anything what activates parasympathetic nervous system in a good way. For example, we remember that when it's activated, we can rest and digest. So anything when we stimulate, notice what we eat, drinking water, any touches, and anything can really fast return you back. And for sure, breathing. Breathing is constantly with us, and body is constantly with us. Why we don't use this resource, which is just our from the birth? I see there is some questions. There is not. So, Tim, I will really ask you if there is any question. You just tell me then.
I will.
Okay, so why it's all happened and why we cannot notice this? I really would like to share with you great term which came and were coined in polyvagal theory, is neuroception and feeling safe. So it's mostly unconscious process. We can notice some like our body signs, and we can learn to be aware about what is going on, and this is what we teach. So neuroception describes how neural circuits distinguish whether situation of people safe, dangerous, or life-threatening, and this process happened automatically. And so Dr. Porges says that to switch effectively from defensive behavior to social engagement strategies, the nervous system must do two things. They assess the risk, and if the environment looks safe for our nervous system, then it inhibits the primitive, then it can switch on social engagement. Otherwise, it's switch on primitive defensive reactions. And this is the primitive defensive reactions: fight, flee, or freeze. And our nervous system constantly taking the sensory information from both internal environment, and it's what has happened with our body, including how our thoughts influence our body, and externally, so when we perceive what's going around. And as I mentioned, it's an unconscious process, and we can develop the awareness of what's going on. And how neuroception can be illustrated. So for example, you meet someone and the person appears like really bright and maybe even attractive and really good, successful looking, but within inside and the voice and the micro movements of the body, it doesn't feel really right. So we definitely feel uncomfortable with this person. We can start to feel a little bit whether anger or fear or vulnerability. And this is how our nervous system just absorb all this information. And it also gives us the feeling of safety, and it's related to a congruence. And the congruence, what we will discuss about, what we will discuss in more details when we will talk about horses. In other words, the congruence, it means how we appear, what we think, we actually feel the same and do the same. And it leads wonderfully us to the point that both of them contributes to our perception of safety or lack of safety. And for sure, it's influenced our relationship and experience in the working environment. And when we're talking about social engagement and we look at teams and organization, and if we think that and accept that organization actually is a living system, and we all by our resiliency, we influence the general resiliency of organization. And there is a term regulation, which is very, very important, because the project leader capacity or their role, if they are not resilient, the others can somehow, through their neuroception, actually there are several processes how it's happened, but we can feel it. And have you ever, just the question to reflect, have you ever entered the meeting and immediately felt shift of the mood? Have you ever noticed that something changed in dynamic between you and someone with whom you're talking, and without knowing why? So this is the process of how we co-regulate. We resonate and co-regulate, and mostly you can find a lot of information about emotional resonance and regulation. So it's the way that the nervous system of one individual influences the nervous system of another individual. And what is important, that co-regulations as the psychological platform of safety, which leads to social engagement and functional relationship. When we experience the disconnection and we cannot get a contact and co-regulate, we also experience not safe in this environment, and we also we may experience distress in our nervous system. So as we know
question for you, Irina.
Yeah.
From Larita, is this a learned body response? Is this a learned body response influenced by unconscious bias?
What means is this? When it's appeared, I mean, it's the co-regulation or neuroception or regulation in general?
Yeah, Larita, can you say a little bit more? Larita, if you
neuroception.
like.
Neuroception.
Yeah.
Neuroception is not the learned body response. We're actually born with this. It's just given us by nature. It's what has happened. What is learned is, what we can learn is our signals, the moments, indicators, what happened with us. So what we can really master is our self-awareness about ourselves before we enter the room, for example, with someone. So we really can identify whether it's something happened within us and we need to listen it as information, or we just resonate with other and we need really to support by co-regulation and change the emotional level. Thank you for this great question.
Thank you, Larita.
And it leads really well to the first tool we would like to share is SPICE. So we can assess ourselves, our team, and organization. Today we will touch mostly ourselves and the little team. And we can do this measurement by our own self-awareness, and there are a number of psychometric or other questionnaires and tools which we can apply to. So what means SPICE for individuals? I will just make it all here. So the first S stands for our autonomic nervous system, how activated we are, what is the level of energy, and what the quality of activation. We are stressed, excited. For example, when I am excited, I noticed it for long. I actually can go out of window tolerance with this excitement feeling, and then I forget what I wanted to say or what. It's enjoyable feeling, but it still doesn't help me actually. P stands for physical state of our bodies. It's really very important just to notice what is going on with our body. We are tired, we have a stiff shoulders, or we have just a headache or pain in the stomach or something. Just acknowledging this already brings us to regulation state and congruence as well, because we finally know what we feel. Intellect or mind state, and this is not just mindset, because mind state means that sometimes we have really very active thoughts running around, sometimes we're a little bit slow. It all can influence too. Emotional state is for sure what is kind of emotions we have, or it may be that I'm just slow emotionally. I really would like to keep a little bit closed, or opposite, I'm open and connected with others. And the final S is for sure social engagement system. We notice that it's really the hardest to identify what is going, how we do experience ourselves socially. Do we feel connected? Do we feel disconnected? Do we feel curious? It's really maybe sometimes weird, but when you start to practice this, it's become really easy to do. In terms of team, it has a little difference, because team, there are several people who influence the state of team autonomic nervous system. As a living organism, we can see when we are together as a team, how we would identify our arousal level. Physical resources within team means simply, do we have enough staff? Do we have enough financial resources or facilities or anything else to deliver what we're doing? And intellectual state means IQ and EQ. It's not only, so EQ is not about emotions only. In these terms, it means team mindset. What is the most, what we can notice about how our team make conclusions, what their level of knowledge, and how they operate with their emotions, etc. Emotional state of the team, we also can notice that sometimes teams, they're more positive, sometimes more negative or aggressive or defensive. It's all very important. And social engagement system, it is how team interrelate with others within organization or with stakeholders or with clients and customers. And the first what we would like to share is, and what we use as a functional resiliency scale for individuals as a self-assessment tool. Chat, because it's, oh, great. all returns, some disruptions. So how it's influenced our actually stress level is a good example, and it's a good to move to practice. Let's just try. It's variation, what I created just for this talk. And I will stop share this presentation and share that one. Functional resiliency, let's try practice. I hope you all connected via QR code or just in menti.com and just enter the code 57722807. And how that can work. Yes, so the first question we ask ourselves, how I would describe my personal state right now, just 1 or 2 words, and don't worry that it may sound weird. So I will do the same, and we all do try practice. Yeah. Relaxed, calm, engaged, very relaxed, distracted, curious. Yeah, thank you for taking a part. It's really, really interesting and important. Great. Let's have just 30 seconds more if someone wants to add, but I think I have already. So then, yeah. Very relaxed, open, interested. Great, thank you very much. And now the variation of the part of this functional resiliency scale, window of tolerance, remember this. And in the left side is a low energy reflective numb. This is -10. And in the right side is a high energy. So, and now don't mention the word, leave it with yourself. What is about your state autonomic nervous system? Where it is in a scale, plus something, minus something? And the same physical state, how you would just describe an activation level, where you are physically, and the same intellectually, emotionally, and how do you feel socially? Thank you. So interesting. So I will just now share again what was the previous answer and this one. So we thank you everyone who participated. We are stopped for a while. So what we shared is that distracted, relaxed, calm, engaged, open, interested, curious, and very relaxed. And our level of activation in general 3 and 3, but we can see how different responses are. So, and I just would like for you to keep these reflective questions. You may share with us via chat, and where it will be, we're very grateful for this, or you can just leave it for yourself. So how it was, how it was for you, and what did you notice about this praxis when you share your state? And what would you notice if it would be your team self-assessment right now? And thank you for your likes. It's really, really a pleasure. And by this, I really, excuse me again, some water. So I would like to share about a little about I feel method and horses and what is special about this work. So the point is that a human development and human change happens concurrently at biological, psychological, and social levels through all our life. And we influence each other in complex interaction. And to develop embodied skill or behavior change, after we learn something cognitive and cognitive level, we need to experience it and to receive some sort of feedback from environment. And depending on this feedback quality, it could be how we would use this skill and if we would change it well. So it's all interconnected. And what we do at I Feel method, and when we would like to change behavior, so it's kind of a lot of patterns which we have, they are stored mostly in non-verbal format and very often outside of our awareness. So when we facilitate human change, development, or growth, using I Feel method, we use the resonance co-regulation circuits, which happened on the limbic brain, and all this through neuroception stuff, and those patterns, and pair them with new, more relevant experience. And via this experiential process, through sensory motor, we have some emotional response, and it stimulates change and reaction. And then we help to get it back to the cognitive level where insights happened. And by this, it's become embodied. This is why experiential learning, the foundation of experiential learning. And what is really horses may add, they are prey animals, and they are good in measuring our inner state. Otherwise, they're actually not only everyone around. And in some documentaries, you may see like zebras, they just drink water together with Leon, and another times they just run away even without seeing something from our human perspective. So they check and they measuring the inner state of humans and checking them out of any incongruence. So if our energetic or physical body language doesn't match to what we actually feel and think, it's actually happened, as we learned, through neuroception from us as well. We're just maybe not aware about it. And this helps us as the leaders, as the managers, to attune within ourselves and what is going with us before we appear. And through the interaction with horses, we can actually see how others perceive us in unconscious level. So horses, they will really only cooperate willingly and engage with humans who, as we say, feel their thinking. And there are also a number of additional beautiful side effects and dynamics happened when we're doing work with horses and interact. Is the same co-regulation process happened, stress reduction, and by the way, there is research about it available. And for sure, we can experience another way of acceptance and connection, because horses, they don't have the agenda as we have. I mean, to be liked or to appear in a certain way, they're just as they are. And because the change process is actually uncomfortable process, as we remember, right? We need to go out of comfort zone and do learning and experience, and it may feel uncomfortable. So horses really can make it more pleasant. So we work in different areas. And first of all, we do professional trainings. We teach how to work with or without horses, how to deliver human change and personal change process. We work with business development, and we also contribute to social change. We work with we support veterans, first responders, and those who have really traumatic stress experience, and they search for new purpose in life. And yeah, so for individuals, you can, and organizations, you can choose whether you would like just for yourself to grow, or you would like professionally grow. Then it can be as well as for individuals. We provide accredited courses, 3 levels of diplomas. It's UK. We have a UK accreditation, and we also help professionally to develop organizations that are stress informed and trauma informed. And this is really what we are passionate about, and I'm especially, because what means stress and trauma informed organization is the combination of organizational structure and some frameworks and techniques that involves understanding, recognizing, and responding to the effects which may stress, workload stress, or any other stress from, because we experience it not only at work, it can happen something outside. And we promote, and this organization promote functional resilience and ability to recover from stress or even trauma. Yeah, so thank you. And do we have time? No, we don't have time. So I would like to share very, very fast for 1 minute, the exercise, breathing exercise, which we recorded for so advanced video, especially for IPMA, by the way. And this exercise is helping to widen our window of tolerance, even without facing stress. So we can just train our body, and through this, we can grow our resilience. And you can do it in any time and longer than here just 40 seconds, sorry.
So with this breathing exercise, what we're going to do is imagine you're breathing up through the bottom of your feet on the in-breath, and out through the bottom of your feet on the out-breath. And as we breathe up, we're activating the doing learning. And as you're breathing out, you're activating the reflective learning.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I noticed
Wonderful.
that. Thank you very much for joining this talk, and let me talk. And sorry, I took a little longer because it's just so exciting topic for me. Yeah. And if there are any questions, I will just, while you're finishing, I will share my contact details and the link on feedback form, where you also can find the functional resiliency scale if you missed the QR code.
Great. Irina, thank you so much. Wow, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, please do share your contact information. You'll put that in the chat?
Yes, I'm doing it right now.
Very good. Okay. So my friends, thank you very, very much, Irina, and to everyone for attending today's session. The slides and the recording will be available. And for those of you who are interested, tomorrow, believe it or not, we are running a book club on the topic of smart cities. And so that's at 9 a.m. New York, 2 p.m. Actually, it's 3 p.m. Amsterdam and 4 p.m. Moscow. So I encourage you all to attend that and to go to the sig.ipma.world website and check that out for more info. And with that, again, Irina, thank you very much. This was really wonderful. And I look forward to hearing from you all. And thanks. Have a great day.